Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Bold Lawyers Show. I'm your host, JD Hoovener, here with Bold Patents. This show is for you, the attorney, or maybe even law student who's looking to someday hang their own shingle. Interviewing on this show, we interview owners and founders of their own law firm, and we are going to get into all sorts of things related to, of course, the law, but the business of law and all that entails. And I do want to let you know that we are broadcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I welcome any questions from our live audiences. We'll take those as soon as we can. So please feel free. We do have a guest waiting backstage. My co-host Matt may not be able to make it today. He said he's got some stormy weather out in Minnesota. So he said he'd try to call in, but I don't know if there even is a way to call in. So we'll hang tight on pins and needles for Matt. But I think without further ado, I'll bring on our guest, Morvareed Salehpour. Welcome to the show.
Hi, JD. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being up for this last minute. I know I just asked you today, so thank you for being brave and hanging out with me. Am I saying your name right? You and I just met this week. Is it Morvareed?
Yeah, you got it. You got
Perfect. It. All right, we're doing good. I do see we have one live viewers. As I mentioned, we'll take questions. But so the whole theme of this, this podcast, the video podcast, is to share with stories about what got you interested in owning your own practice, and then kind of bringing us through the years, if it's been that long, to where you are now, and where do you hope to grow? Because this is one of those things that I personally love, is talking with other owners of law firms and how they're making their own niche, making their own way. So let's start with your founder story, if you're willing to share that. How did you get started?
Sure. So I was in big law for many years. I was in firms for about 8 years and, learned a lot. Interesting experience, but I think I started to realize at that point that I was entrepreneurial and was starting to feel very stifled. And being I was the first lawyer in my family. So you kind of are in school, you're funneled into the large law firms. You don't really know that there may be other options. So I didn't even really think about starting my own law firm as an option initially when I had, left law school. Like I just didn't know or think of that as an option. So it was very interesting when I kind of was like, well, this is something I could do now, right? Like 8 years later, it's like, oh, well, I'm not really, enjoying this like large law firm experience. And, I looked at some other firms and had some more offers and was kind of realizing it was going to be more of the same kind of experience that I had. And again, I think one of the things is they really, in the large law firms, it's a lot of like, they want you to bill your hours, right? Like that's what the focus is on. And anything where you're kind of trying to develop business is not encouraged, right? Like at one point I was told, we're not going to take in any of your matters unless they're $1 or $2 million worth. I'm like, well, that's impossible, right? Like it's like an impossible standard to meet, right? So you're like having to turn away clients. That's not something an associate could do. And even partners wouldn't meet those levels, but it was all meant to discourage you from actually doing something besides billing, right?
Wow. So like they would kind of dangle this, this carrot, if you will. If you originate business, we'll give you a percentage. Was that
No, not at all. But it was just something I think I had realized, like I wanted my own book of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of, I think once you have your book of business, you have more control over your schedule in big law, right? You have like more control. So I knew I wanted this, but this was not what they wanted because they wanted me to bill. Right. So it was like discouraging me from spending time to build a book of business. And so that was very stifling to me. And I was feeling like I can't do what I want to do for my career and my future because it's not in the immediate interest of the partners the people who are partners this year. Right. So I decided to like break out from that whole framework.
Okay. I've never been in big law, and I never even set foot in I just opened up my practice right away. I have no idea what so you're there for 8 years at one law firm?
I did one firm for about 5-6 years, and then another firm for another like almost 2 years. So
Okay.
that was kind of
Okay.
my law firm experience. Yeah.
And what kind of law was it? Kind of the same thing you're doing now, or it's obviously for bigger scale?
Yeah. I mean, it was actually very interesting because I graduated during the recession. It was like basically the day I was doing OCA is the day the market crashed in 2008. Yeah. So
Hey.
exactly. So it was an interesting time, and you basically it was a combination of one of the reasons I picked the firm I initially went to was they don't assign you into a particular practice area right away. They give you some time to try different areas, and then because it was also the recession, again, it was whatever work was coming in, you were doing it. So I got to do litigation, I got to do transactional, I got to do counseling, which really set me up well, I think, for what I do now to kind of act as general outside counsel. Like having that litigation experience really helps me to draft stronger contracts for my clients. So it was helpful in the end, right?
Yeah, got it. So okay, so you made kind of 3 hops. So let's talk about the most recent departure. How did you go about leaving a firm? Did you get to bring any of your clients with you? How does that work? Talk me through that.
Yeah, I mean, and working with large law firms and firms that work with these Fortune 100 companies, like, no, like you're not going to bring.
I don't know. Yeah, why not? If they love you that much, well, I don't know. This is
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. The Fortune 100, it's kind of like there's a reason they go with big law. They want like that, big law kind of like protection and formality and everything. So most people kind of like leave. It's they don't like take clients. So I kind of just decided to go for it. And
okay.
as I said, I had looked at I had some offers on the table for going to be at another firm. And I just realized, hey, this is the time to do it because I can go and do this again for a couple of years, but I'm probably going to want to do this again at some point. So I might as well do it when I'm younger than just waiting and wasting years in the law firm, right?
Yeah. So how long has it been since you've been on your own?
Let's see. It's been 6 years now. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
not brand new at it. But have there been any major aha moments or epiphanies in those 6 years? Maybe give us the first few that come to mind.
Yeah, I think there's definitely I know I was also a first time entrepreneur, right? So it's kind of learning to run a business. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So there was some learning process at the beginning. And so I kind of learned a lot, I think, initially about how to maybe screen people so they don't waste your time as much because you can be on calls all day, right? So I think that you get better at realizing what are kind of red flags or things with people you're talking to, and I think that's really helpful, right?
Yep. Totally. Well, I mean, and if you, and I think we talked earlier, you're still on your own. You're true solo still.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Well, tell us about that. What have you done to kind of screen your clients? I think that is a good thing to talk about. How do you go about doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have a kind of like a quick discussion with whoever it is to really kind of at least get to know them and understand what they're trying to do and see how they're going about and trying to do it. And I think it's just you kind of learn and maybe that initial reaction, like if they're the type of person who's actually looking for counsel or they think they know what they need and they just want someone to effectuate it, right? And they don't really care if it's the right or wrong thing. You kind of learn, have they been working with 5 other attorneys and you're now the first person they're working with, right? So you kind of are able to get a little bit more information, and I think that's very helpful to kind of realize. And I think one of the most important things I've kind of I think just learned is if you're getting some kind of just bad vibe or like a weird feeling, it's best not to go forward, because whenever you do go forward, it always ends up being a situation where you're like, oh, this ended up being a headache.
Yeah, got it. And yeah, so you kind of learn what to listen for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have at Bold, we've decided to have people help us answer the phones. I mean, are you answering all inbound phones? Do you have any contractors, anybody else helping you answer the phones?
I won't take phone calls. I won't take like
Okay.
unscheduled phone
Oh,
calls.
there is some filtering. See,
Yeah.
okay, you're not just sitting there by the phone.
Oh, no,
Okay.
no. Yeah. So that
Okay.
definitely, yeah. So they have to email me first and tell me
Yeah.
like a little info, and then we'll schedule a call if it's in my area and it's something that we may be able to work with each other.
This is huge, right? For some people, they're like, aha, I don't just like give my cell number out to the public.
Yeah.
There's some form of, so that is a form of filtering, right?
Yeah.
By just not giving out a number.
Right.
Okay, cool. And I saw from your website, you do have a website. Okay. Have you done much with that? And one thing I just real quickly, I want to just commend you on, I thought was really well done, was how simple it is, easy to follow, and then to see how many times you've spoken, right? Out, in public, giving knowledge, educating. Tell us about your website first, and then I want to get into public speaking second.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted something really simple for my website. I talked to several people, and everyone kind of was the consensus I got from talking to a lot of attorneys who have firms and stuff, was that it's really just like an online kind of like CV, like somewhere where people can kind of go and see learn a little bit more about you. It's not really, I think, for a lot of attorneys, it's not somewhere that people find you through the website. That's not the initial place. They found you somewhere else and they just go and learn more information. So that's why I thought something simple, like that's all I need. And when I set it up, the style I think was from some of the tech people I talked to, is like kind of like keep it like one page, like that's all you really need. So
right,
yeah.
Okay, maybe I should take some of that advice. I think ours is a little quite lengthy. I mean, I think I went about it quite differently, just in comparing yours versus mine. I mean, I don't have, people didn't know me, right? So basically we had to sort of hope that they could find us. And something you said interestingly was like, they know you first, then they see your site.
Yeah.
Is that still true? Do you think people, for the most part, the first point of contact is not the website? They've gotten referred to you or introduced to you somehow or in person before the website?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all kind of like those more relationship referral based. And yeah, I don't really use and I know some attorneys do, and that's just not, I haven't used my website for like marketing or trying to get people to come in through the website.
Got it. Okay. So if it's not the website, how do you find new clients?
I think it's just those kind of relationships of people like I've been involved in different organizations. I used to be president of the Santa Monica Bar Association, so I was very involved in that organization for several years.
Okay.
I'm involved with UCLA alumni. I'm on the board for the West Side alumni. So I've met people in all different kind of these different organizations, and I think with what we do, it's always like a long-term thing, right? You may meet someone, they may not have a need now, but maybe several years down the line they may have a need, or maybe they know someone who has a need, so someone will get introduced to you, right?
Yeah. Okay, so these organizations, so you mentioned the Bar Association. What are some other places that you've been able to make solid connections with? Maybe if it's not directly with clients, but with maybe attorneys or other professionals that can refer you work.
Yeah, I think the bar associations are good. Those are great resources. I've met, it's also being like someone who has their own practice. You kind of have to have a network of other attorneys, right? When I was in Big Law, it was easy. It was the guy down the hallway can do X, which I don't do. And so if the client needs X, right, we've got them all covered. But when you have a boutique practice, it's more, I need to have, trusted kind of advisors that do other areas of the law that my clients need, but are not in my wheelhouse. And so it's great to be able to like connect to other small practices and be able to refer my clients to them.
Cool. Very good. Have you found any success? I guess we talked a little about your firm. We kind of jumped that. So what kind of areas of law do you practice and focus on? And what client do you serve best?
Yeah, my focus is really commercial contracts and tech transactions. I really focus on helping small and mid-sized businesses negotiate and draft strong contracts so they can really focus on growing their business and not on disputes and ending up in court.
Mhm.
I work with a lot of tech businesses as part of my specialty. So a lot of software as a service, AI, tech services, all that kind of fun stuff with a lot of issues around IP licensing and data privacy.
Right. That's a good chunk of stuff. And you mentioned earlier on, this outside general counsel.
Mhm.
What percentage of your practice would you say, how many of your clients are in that full where you are the outside general counsel, and what percentage is it more kind of transactional, once and done, or kind of more flat fee?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of my clients, they kind of reach out as a as needed basis as they have different contractual needs and also other needs. Like when, I have clients reach out and like, we're trying to do this thing and it's employment issues. I'm like, okay, let me refer you to someone, right?
Got it.
And I think it depends on their size. So some clients, maybe they're just setting up their business. So we'll set up their business. They may need to put together their customer agreement, whatever form that may take, whether they're B2C or B2B, that may be a different form, right? And then they may not have some needs, for the rest of the year, maybe until the end of the year when they want to update that form, or other businesses, they start scaling and growing, so they may have a couple needs a year, and then some of them get to the stage where they need, help monthly or sometimes weekly, right? So it just depends on I think the size of the client. But the common kind of feature is they don't have a legal department. And if they do have a legal department, it's like a small department. So that they again need that
Yep.
support.
Got it. Cool. Thank you. I mean, some people listening here, maybe not live, but maybe afterward on this program, or maybe they're in-house or they're working at a law firm and they're like, gosh, I like how much I'm getting paid, right? I'm very financially feel like I'm taken care of, but I just feel like I'm just exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
The money question, we don't need to talk about actual figures, but let's say, I mean, you're 6 years out on the level. Are you about where you were at before in terms of compensation, or has there been a nice shift in like a whole lot more comfortable lifestyle? Can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that?
Right. Well, obviously, when I left, it was a pay cut because I had no clients, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, it's things were like okay, I was still like a little bit pay cut, but like initially, things got you're able to make it work, and I have enjoyed it so much. I mean, I when I left the really large law firm, I was working like 100-hour weeks. So there was no quality of life. I was sleeping, 4 hours a day, and that was it. And then it was work the rest of the day, like 7 days a week. It just wasn't. This was not the life I wanted, and it was like I don't want to be partnered like.
That's really crazy. You hear about that like in the movies, but you're not lying. Like 100-hour weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people had, people had left the department. I was basically doing three people's jobs, so you have to do like the work needs to get done, right? And so I didn't want to do that anymore, and I really wanted to prioritize other things that were important to me, such as just making sure. I mean, also at that point, I remember there was articles in the news about some of these associates who were similar age to myself dying at their desks from being overworked. And so it's like, I don't want to die at my desk. Like I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I take care of my health and I can devote time to wellness. So I have loved being able to have time to take walks and go for hikes after work and on the weekends and things like that. Just being able to actually enjoy, like I think the first thing when I left Big Love was like, oh my God, this is the first time I'm sleeping in years. Like I'm not feeling sleep deprived for the first time in years.
Yeah. So the food benefits, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can work out regularly now, right? So that was the two biggest things. It was like I can sleep and I can work out on a regular basis. Like I love it.
That is so cool. Well, and you're smiling, and that means everything. That's awesome. Well,
Mhm.
and you're doing well in your firm, so congrats on that. And well into your 6th year. And we've invited you to join our mastermind. And for some of those who might be listening, that's one way I found to learn a lot is by talking with people like Morvareed, who's got their story and their reason why and how they're running their firm. So if you want to know more information about a mastermind group, you can send me an email. My message is here. My email is here. It's okay if I share your email address with anybody that's maybe listening now or after the fact that is inspired and may want to reach out to you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. I'll share that. Any final thoughts? Any things to share with our listeners here before we wrap up?
I think it's just important to kind of find out what you enjoy, because we spend so much time at work. So do whatever it is you enjoy, whether that is staying in law or leaving law. I've had a lot of friends who've left it too.
Right.
Find your passion.
Find your passion. Love that. Cool. Well, thanks again for being a guest on our show. We'll have to have you back on at some point here to give us an update as things move forward for you. So have a great day, everybody. On behalf of Bold Patents, wish you guys a great rest of your day. We'll be here for Bold Lawyers Show next Tuesday at 2:00 Pacific. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.